If you're hoping to see faster charging iPhones, we have news that won't be the case with iPhone 17. Analyst Jeff Pu tells us the complete iPhone 17 range will support 35-watt wide charging, which is about the same as the iPhone 16 series. I know some may be bummed out by this news considering lots of Android phones support 50-watt wide charging, but honestly I'm not too annoyed by this. I'd much rather Apple give us larger batteries that improve the endurance and make these phones last longer, in which case you would only have to charge your phone overnight. And we have actually had rumours regarding that. Because according to leaks, the iPhone 17 Air may be one of the first iPhones to use a higher density battery. Now it makes sense to use the technology with a device that's naturally going to have space constraints because it will be so thin, and so high density battery allows a lot of energy to be stored within a small physical space. Essentially, Apple could still fit in a 4,400 mAh battery, which would not be too bad considering the Plus right now has a 4,674 mAh cell. This combined with the fact we should see the very efficient C1 means battery life should still be solid on the Air, which is good to see because I'm sure some may have had concerns about the battery life with such a thin device. And it's not just the Air gaining a larger battery, the Pro Max is also getting a battery boost. Leaker Ice Universe mentions the device will be getting even thicker with it now being 8.25mm in thickness, which is a 0.475 increase due to a larger battery. Now I do wonder if it's only the Air getting the higher density technology or if the complete range is getting this upgrade. I'm guessing because it's new technology only the Air's getting it for now, but since there's no space constraints as such with the Pro Max, they can just pack it to the brim with a humongous regular lithium-ion battery. We don't have specific mAh numbers just yet of course, but the 16 Pro Max has a 4,685 mAh battery, so maybe the 17 Pro Max jumps to 4,800 mAh, and so we're slowly getting to a 5,000 mAh iPhone. By the way, I would expect the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro to also get battery upgrades. Now let's move on to the camera. So according to John Prosser, Apple introduced a new feature where you can record from the front-facing and rear-facing camera at the same time. I say new in quotations because I'm pretty sure you could do this natively on the Galaxy S4, a phone from 2013. So it's nice to see that Apple's finally catching up a decade later, but what's funny is that apparently this simple feature will be a Pro exclusive. I understand they want to tout the Pro phones more as a content creation machine, and a feature like this would be most useful for creatives, but it's also something the base model should easily be able to do, so I'm hoping they don't software lock this to the Pro phones. By the way, I am aware third-party applications like Snapchat for example already allow you to do this, but offering this natively would be great as well, and as I said, it is about time. It's also about time you click that subscribe button. It's free and will bring you the latest about Apple right to your subscription box, so please consider it. Join the Saran Bite gang now. Next, let's talk about the telephoto on iPhone 17 Pro. So for those unaware, we have heard a lot about a new 48MP telephoto lens coming to the 17 Pro. This was the last lens still on 12MP, as the main camera had moved to 48MP with the 14 Pro, and the ultra-wide lens had moved to 48MP with the 16 Pro. Now with the telephoto switching to 48MP, Apple plans to apparently offer 3.5x optical zoom instead of the 5x currently offered on the 15 and 16 Pro Max. You may think this sounds like a downgrade, but 3.5x optical zoom is equivalent to 85mm, which is better suited for portraits, which is what most use the telephoto for in the first place. Also do remember, like the main 48MP sensor with its 2x digital crop, having a higher resolution telephoto means digital zoom will be a lot better, and so you can still zoom in and get higher resolution photos with this new 17 Pro. You get a max of 25x digital zoom with the 16 Pro Max, so maybe expect this to offer 30 or 40x zoom, whilst offering higher quality photos at those higher zoom levels. Now let's delve into new cases showing us a ginormous camera bump on the iPhone 17 Pro. These case leaks come courtesy of Sonny Dixon, who's a pretty credible source, and the cases themselves aren't very exciting, they're just regular clear cases with MagSafe. However, you can see there is a cutout that spans the entire width of the device, which will encompass the triple lens camera layout on the left, but the LiDAR scanner, mic and flash will now move to the right side. By the way, if you're wondering why Apple's giving us such a massive camera bump on this year's iPhone, I think it's because of that new telephoto lens. Obviously the telephoto will have to be stacked sideways into the device, so maybe more space is required for the larger telephoto, hence why they're moving the LiDAR, mic and flash to the right and giving us this much bigger camera bar. Talking about the camera bar, one thing that's been featured in the renders of this design is a two-tone finish, but it seems this won't be coming to the final device. Mark Gurman believes this aspect of the concepts are false. There will not be a two-tone finish and the camera bar will be the same color as the rest of the device. So essentially this should be similar to the M4 iPad Pro, which is not as exciting, and Gurman does keep our expectations in check by telling us this won't be as groundbreaking of a redesign as some other rumours have suggested. However, whilst the actual design may not be that exciting, since Apple's switching to part glass, part aluminium shell, that could allow for more vibrant colours to come to the Pro phones. Titanium that's currently offered on the 16 Pro is hard to colour, and so as a result, we have some pretty boring shades, but aluminium, whilst being a weaker material, could allow for Apple to give us bright shades of red, blue or green, which I would love to see on the Pro phones, even if it's not as durable. Now, the regular 17 doesn't look very different and is near identical to the iPhone 16, but we do also see the iPhone 17 Air in a new leaked image, and actually Sony Dixon had shared a case for the 17 Air which shows the visor camera bar similar to Pixel devices. However, as you can see, there will only be one camera lens on the left side of the device, and the mic and flash will be on the right. Now, there is no cutout below the camera bar on the 17 Air, which does make me think the back panel is going to be completely glass, similar to current iPhones, and that camera bar could only be aluminium. Also, we can see MagSafe assist, so for those worrying this might be too thin to fit MagSafe, thankfully that's not the case. The 17 Air also has space for the action button as well as camera control, so yes, despite it being 5.5mm in thickness, you are still getting flagship hardware features, even though camera control is pretty useless, so I wouldn't have cared if they removed it. Delving into thermals, Chinese leaker Instant Digital says Apple's going to incorporate a vapor chamber heatsink, which by the way has been reported in the past by another source called MyDrivers. This technology is already popular in the Android space, and if you're wondering how it works, essentially these chambers spread heat evenly across a large surface area, and this prevents thermal throttling so that the device can maintain its peak performance for longer. This is great news for Genshin Impact nerds who game on their phones for many hours, but it's not just a benefit for gamers. Taking lots of photos and videos can heat up a device as well, so improved thermals would improve the camera experience as well, since the phone wouldn't be forced to dim the screen to make up for it overheating. Now of course, I do want to mention the iPhone 16 models did have thermal upgrades, which made a difference in my testing. I believe they had included a graphene sheet to dissipate heat, but a vapor chamber will make an even bigger difference when you're pushing the device to the extreme, like gaming or heavy usage of the camera as Ed mentioned, and ultimately I'll take any thermal upgrades. MyDrivers had suggested the complete iPhone 17 range was going to get this thermal upgrades, and that made sense to me because the Air, especially being so razor thin, does need better thermals to prevent any overheating issues. But Instant Digital claims only the Pro phones with their A19 Pro are getting a vapor chamber system so that the devices can maintain high performance under heavy workloads with virtually no throttling. That's cool, but I would like to see that come to the complete range. And do remember the complete iPhone 16 range did get the graphene sheet. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.